Good morning, Paolo, and thank you for joining me.
Good morning, Alison. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So, Paolo, you are an accounts administrator for OSSM, is that right?
Yes, starting from the end of June, yes.
Okay, brilliant. And so rather than going into what that role entails, really, I have heard that you are a bit of a veteran of sort of working remotely and this sort of hybrid type of working situation. So that's what I'm really interested in today. Can you tell me a little bit about how that came about, or your history of working remotely?
Yes, many people started to work remotely only recently, especially as a consequence of the pandemic and the restrictions that have been imposed. But in my specific case, I've been working remotely in my previous two roles. The previous one was very similar to the setup that we have here in OSSM. And it was also an IT company, so they were pretty prompt in switching to this new mode of working. The previous one before that, instead, was a particular setup. At that time, working remotely was not that common. But I happen to be the only employee of a US-based company, the only employee in Ireland. So they gave me a high level of flexibility. So I did have a small office in town, but over time this switched to hybrid mode. And in the last few years I was working there. I was most of the time working remotely. So yes, you can say that, I'm a veteran of this way of working. And this also gave me opportunity over time to experiment a lot, to try a lot of different things and to find out what really works for me. And, what are the things that help me to keep a healthy work-life balance.
So actually on that, because it can be difficult to keep that work-life balance when your home is also your office, or you're living at work, working at home. What are your strategies for maintaining that balance?
Well, in my case, what works for me, I realize is that, first of all, you have to focus on keeping, paying attention to your physical well-being. Secondly, I would say also it is important to continue to interact with other people in person in different settings. And thirdly, I would say try as much as you can to dedicate some time off technology, to other things. So in terms of physical well-being, for example, in my case, since we spend so much time just sitting at our desk, I try to make the most, for example, of the fact that we don't need to commute. So the time that I would be traveling, the morning I dedicated to have a short jog in the park. I'm lucky enough to live just next door to the Phoenix Park in Dublin, which is an amazing amenity. But this can be done even around the block where you live, or in your development. So that's something that even a short walk in the morning, allows you to start the day in a much better way. Yes, the other thing, for example, another thing I realized over the years working sitting at my desk all the time, that I was feeling some back pain. So, you can take some measures. One thing that I did, as you can see, I don't know if you can tell, from the camera, but I'm standing actually, because I decided to invest in one of these sit stand desks, and this helps me a lot because I change the height of the desk even just 3 or 4 times during the day, but that helps a lot. When I stand, I can move my legs, and that helps a lot. Then the other thing that I mentioned is meeting. Try to meet people in real life. Why? Because we spend so much time. Yes, we interact with our colleagues and customers and suppliers, via Skype or Microsoft Teams and so on. But it's never going to be the same. So, for example, what I do every Tuesday night, I meet other people to play basketball in a gym nearby, but it doesn't have necessarily to be a team sport. It can be really anything that you bring you together with other people. People, share a common interest. It can be volunteering, or it can be like a hobby, night classes, whatever, really. The third thing is that I mentioned, and that really helps a lot. We spend a lot of time with technology because it's the nature of our job, and it's a big part of the job of whoever works remotely, really. And therefore, you should try to allocate some of your time during your day to things that, let's say, are analogic, away from technology, away from internet. That's something that from which I benefit a lot. For example, I like to do a little bit of drawing, but can be anything really. For example, building something or playing an instrument, looking after your plants or flowers. And obviously, if you have a family, playing with your children, things like this that are not done in front of a screen.
Yes. So those sort of three main elements that you're talking about. So looking after your physical well-being, meeting up with other people. And I love that idea of doing a sort of a team sport, because I think a lot of us now aren't with teams or with groups of people as much as we used to be. So I do love that idea. Right. And then taking a break, taking time away from technology and giving
maybe small things. If you go for a walk, for example, don't, feel the urge to look at your mobile,
Yes.
Watch far away, watch the landscape, watch monuments, watch the window of your neighbor, whatever. But, try not to stare at a screen all the time. That helps a lot.
Brilliant. Well, Paolo, thank you. I can certainly take some of those tips away, and I know lots of other people will be able to as well. So thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your experience with us, and have a lovely day.
Thank you, Alison.